Hello, welcome back to Firesense Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're going to continue on Suzerain. The last time we left off, we signed a few executive orders, and we had a rather productive and entertaining meeting with the alcoholic president of Lesbia. So, let's go and pick up here with this private meeting with Petr. It was a dark, chilly evening when Petr called and asked if we could meet. He gave no details. All he said was that it was important. I drove alone through Holsword suburbs until I reached the meeting point he named, 147 Ruick Avenue, number 26, our old campaign headquarters, untouched since the night of the election. This is where everything began. That's not an ominous start. I made my way up the dusty staircase of the office building. The light in the second-floor hallway is out, so I used a cigarette lighter to find my way to the wooden door marked 26. I pulled on the handle, but it wouldn't budge. The heavy door had always been a pain to open. Hey, coming. Petr pushed on the door with all his weight, made a screeching sound as it opened. Without further ado, bid you welcome to this grand nostalgia trip, hosted by yours truly, Petr Vectan. He made an exaggerated bow. The dust from the open door was still settling down. Look sentimental yet? I remember being much cleaner. That's what time does to things, my friend. You're looking a little shabbier yourself than you did back then. Come over here. Remember this? He walked over to his old desk and pointed to the gramophone that had annoyed our neighbors and kept us company for so many late nights. Petr flipped the switch, and it filled the room with swing music from the 20s. I'll be damned, it still works. I thought this office was sold off. No, I've been paying the rent. Too many memories attached to this place just to sell it, and we might use it again soon. He put his hand under the desk and brought a bottle out. He took a swig out of it and passed the bottle to me. Why not? I took a swig as well before passing the bottle back to Petr. That's my boy. Petr snapped his fingers to the music while going through the items in the room. They looked virtually unchanged since election night. Come on, have a look around. See if it doesn't bring back memories. I walked over to my old desk, sat down on the squeaky chair, and opened the top drawer. Inside, there were a few old coins, pencils, and sheets of paper. Underneath them, something caught my eye. It was a photograph of me and Monica sitting under a tree. This must have been 10, maybe 15 years ago. We looked so young and so happy. Monica would love to see this. Nice find. Look at baby Anton. It didn't even have your iconic look. I took the photograph and slid it into my jacket pocket. I walked over to the tower of storage boxes and opened one of them. In one of the storage boxes, I found a heavy object wrapped safely. I unwrapped it. It was an emerald-colored statue of a goat, a symbol of Swordland. I remembered this was a gift from Brenda, one of the 53 election campaign assistants. It would look good on my desk in the palace. Brenda. Always sucking up to you. Where did it get her? Seriously, where? I have no idea where she ended up. I lifted the storage box with the statue in it, put it near the door so I could take it on the way out. Made my way to the gramophone and started flipping through the records next to it. I found one of my favorite albums ever, Mountains by Janet Gertz, a set of plaintive folk songs that made me yearn for the countryside whenever I heard it. What a classic. You should mail it to Frank so you can learn what real music is. Yeah, we're just going to take everything, it's fine. Pulled the record out, put it under my arm, and placed it next to the door. Alright, enough going through old stuff, let's talk. Yes, all in good time. He gestured to the bottle he had in his hand. Nah, I'm good. I had to drive here, bro. He shrugged, took a very big gulp out of the bottle, and staggered to the side afterwards. I know you, Petr. What are you hiding? Nothing. Let's go up to the roof. The view is always amazing from there. That's good, put the drunk guy on the roof. We went up the stairs to the roof. The view was mesmerizing. The buildings of Holsword twinkled below us, while the stars shone bright in the sky. We sat and leaned back against a wall, taking it all in. Right as I was starting to get up, I heard a sobbing sound. I turned to Petr and saw tears streaming down his cheeks. Not yet seen a night sky beautiful enough to make Petr Vectan cry. He wiped the tears away and laughed. I messed up, Anton. I messed up big time. Evelyn's leaving me. She wants a divorce. I'm not surprised. No, I guess you shouldn't be. I've been sleeping with Livia Suno. Oh, that's good. Just banging my receptionist. I had a feeling about you two. We got killed, I know. I'm so sorry. It's just, Ellen hasn't been the same since she lost her job, and Olivia was giving me sultry looks from the day I hired her. You were away, I was drunk, one thing led to another. But she's more than just a pretty girl, Anton. She's smart and kind. I think we were really connected. This might be a dick answer, but I'm going with it. I like her too. That doesn't mean to break my vows and risk scandal for a bit of horizontal polo. It's a terrible euphemism. I love it. I know, but we're ending things. I told her it's too unprofessional, and I want Evelyn back. This is a tough question here. I mean, option one's not an option. I mean, yeah, hell no. Let's go with the last one. Who else knows besides me and the three of you? Nobody, I swear. Well, maybe Lucian, since he knows everything, but you know he'd never spill the beans. There's an edge of desperation in Peter's voice. He took another drink. How many years have we known each other? How many scrapes have we gotten ourselves out of? I can handle this, just trust me. I turned to face my friend and vice president. The habits that had gotten him dubbed the bad boy of Swedish politics when we were younger were no longer so charming coming from a middle-aged man. Yet he was still a capable politician, and I couldn't ignore our long history together. Boy. Okay, I think I'm just gonna go with option 3. I mean, it's kind of cruel, but same time, it's better than just glossing over it. But I also don't want to just, tell him to go screw himself and take over. So we're gonna go 3. I'll be blunt. You fix this, or I will remove you from office. Yes, Anton, I understand. Thank you so much. Don't mention it. I mean it. Don't mention it. Without waiting for his reaction, I left the rooftop alone and made my way downstairs. On my way out, I grabbed my belongings, took one last look back at the office. Been home to some happy memories for sure, but this visit permanently cured me of any nostalgia. As soon as I arrived home, I headed up to my study, sat down, and stared at the telephone. Boy. Definitely not calling Evelyn. Honestly, I should probably call Lucian. I picked up the phone and dialed Lucian's number. He picked up very quickly. Yes, Mr. President. Told Lucian everything Peter had told me about himself, Evelyn, and Livia. Thank you for calling me, Mr. President. This serves to confirm some suspicions of my own. We have to meet. What suspicions? I'd rather discuss this in person. Tomorrow morning in office, early, before either of the two arrive. Don't bring this up with anyone else. I fear we may have more than a mere dalliance on our hands. The line dropped. I stared at the receiver, wondering what his last statement meant. What was going on that I didn't know about? I went to bed, but couldn't sleep at all. Nice, yeah, that's not suspicious at all. And why'd our budget drop again? That is also suspicious. Alright, what's up with the journal here? Oh, just saying I informed Lucian of what Peter told me. Cool, alright, so we got it's like 2 reports and a newspaper. So let's go and start with the news. From Geopolitico. Fogsland trade sanctions against Swordland. That explains budget decrease. Chancellor Hagel has condemned the military alliance between Swordland and Lesbia, calling it a great threat for the people of Eastern Markopa. He announced that the Fogslandian government is readying new sanctions against Swordland, which will be aimed at crippling the Swordish economy. Nice. Alright. And just following up from that, Fogsland sanctions. Bogson has announced a slew of trade sanctions against us, with increases of up to 30% of import tax on certain goods, along with cancellation of military arms sales, medical assistance, and other economic cooperations between our countries. Sanctions came as a direct reaction to the alliance signed with Lesbia. It's not exactly ideal, but hopefully we can weather that. Lockhaven. National Business Council warns of excessive spending. The NBC issued a critical warning about the massive government budget deficit which occurred in the third year of the administration. Leadership figures from the private and state sectors brought forward complaints that the country would head towards a serious debt crisis if the situation is left unchecked. Experts have sounded the alarm about a potential credit rating downgrade in the situation if a better balance won't be achieved soon. Yeah, I mean, that's not exactly good, but at the same time, like, our budget's low, but our economy is definitely moving up there. It's almost full now, which I think is the first time ever. I don't know. Maybe we'll be okay. Alright. So yeah, I guess let's go meet with Lucian here. It was early in the morning after my talk with Petr. The sun was just beginning to peek over the horizon. The Maroon Palace was empty save for a few cleaning staff. I entered my office to find Lucian already waiting for me. I wonder if maybe Livia's the one who's like the churn coat. I don't know, guess we'll find out.
Mr. President, thank you for meeting with me at this hour.
I couldn't sleep anyway.
Very well. I'm pleased that you chose to call me after conversation with Mr. Vector last night, although I was already aware of his illicit relationship with Misuno.
I figured as much. You do know everything that goes on in the palace, after all. Lucian smiled.
On its own, given Mr. Vector's established reputation as something of a playboy, the affair is unlikely to cause much damage. However, a more troubling possibility has been brought to light. A recent conversation with Mr. Hailstone, our whistleblower from Rumburg, revealed the presence of a spy within the Maroon Palace.
Hey, look at that. I kinda called it.
I believe Miss Suno is our mole. She has been using a relationship with Mr. Vector to gather information.
Tell me more.
I can do better than that. I'll show you.
Lucian reached into his coat pocket, pulled out an audio tape, and fed it into the reel-to-reel machine on my desk.
This was recorded in the palace at 1809 on the second day of your trade visit to Lesbia.
Press play. I heard Petr and Livy's voices.
You sure everyone's gone for the day?
Relax, Liv. Nobody's working that hard with the present stick of sauce off from Lesbia. Nice. Livia giggled. I heard the sound of kissing and then of drinks being poured.
I'm glad you stayed behind. Did he tell you how it's going over there? Do you think there's a chance to form an alliance?
As a matter of fact, yes. He and Prime Minister Alva has just sealed the deal. But enough work, Dr. Masuno. I want you bent over my desk. Now. Lucian grimaced and switched the tape off. This is indeed cause for concern.
I'm glad you agree. And that's not all. I found a resume on file, and there's a year-long gap between finishing secretarial school and beginning a career. Normally, this would have been looked into, but Miss Suno was hired before background check could be completed by one Petr Vector.
Just then, there's a knock on the door. Livia opened it cautiously.
Oh, good morning, Mr. President. Mr. Galab. I didn't realize you'd be in so early. Can I get you some coffee?
I stayed silent. Lucian finally spoke up.
Please have a seat, Miss Suno.
Livia sat. She looked puzzled.
Is something the matter?
Enough pretending. Your secret is out.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Livia, Lucian has evidence. Livia buried her face in her hands.
I'm so sorry, Mr. President. I was foolish. Petr was so nice to me, but it's over now. Nobody ever needs to know.
That's not what the President means, Miss Suno. We're referring to you being an intelligence agent for Rumburg.
Livia sat upright. She looked shocked.
Pardon me, Mr. Glad, but are you feeling all right?
He's fine. What do you have to say for yourself?
Mr. President, I understand if you don't want me to keep my job, but why smear me with outlandish accusations?
Miss Suno, indulge me for a moment. What were you doing in the year 1951?
Livia's face flushed.
If you must know, I was working as a cigarette girl at Porto's. It's a Lockhaven saloon. I was saving up so I could afford my own place elsewhere. Here's the proprietor's number if you need to double check.
She scribbled a telephone number on a piece of paper. Lucian snatched it up. But why are we asking Petr about my alliances?
To tell the truth, Mr. Rain, I was hoping to run for office myself someday. I want to make a real difference in the world like Miss Morna and Miss Walda. But I guess I messed up by getting involved with Petr. Now they're all just going to say I slept my way to the top. Wait, how did you know about that conversation?
There was a loud pounding on the door. Petr barged in without waiting for an answer. He was unshaven and wore the same clothes as the night before.
I came as soon as I heard the three of you were in here. Anton, what the hell are you doing? I told you I had this under control.
Wait, who the hell told him that? Sorry, Lucien already found out. Petr took a seat at the far end of the sofa. He looked over at Livia and noticed her troubled expression.
God, why involve her? This is my mess. She did nothing wrong.
Well, there's a small chance that she could be a spy. What?
I have reason to believe she's been relaying information to Romberg. Information that you leaked to her in your carelessness.
Lucien rewound his tape, played it again. As Petr listened, his eyes widened in disbelief.
Lucien, you're a bastard. You've been bugging my office.
I'm sure there's an explanation for this. Both Petr and Livia were glaring at Lucien now. He looked unrepentant.
I had noticed that Vice President's behavior becoming increasingly erratic and unprofessional over the past months. I wanted to get to the root of the cause.
So you wiretapped your own goddamn colleague, and for what? You're getting off on this, you pervert.
Certainly not. I believe that along with the Romberg whistleblowers' admission that there's a spy in the palace and certain gaps in Miss Suna's resume, the state makes a compelling case to investigate the Secretary for Espionage. Whether or not the investigation yields positive results, Mr. Vector ought to be held accountable for his willingness to divulge such sensitive information. He ought to stand trial, or at the very least, resign.
Petr's jaw stood up. Petr's jaw dropped. Olivia stood up.
If I may, Mr. President, I've been paying attention to what goes on in the palace. Not because I'm some sort of agent, but out of genuine interest. Hard as it may be for you to believe, Mr. Galad.
He scowled at Lucien, then turned back to me.
And from what I've seen, this man has been attempting to undermine your vice president every turn, perhaps with the goal of replacing Petr himself.
Nonsense. Lucien's been nothing but loyal.
Loyal to you. It's true, he never could stand me.
Lucien frowned.
My personal misgivings about Mr. Vector aside, I would never do anything to harm this administration. Mr. Vector, on the other hand, has at best committed adultery and at worst delivered state secrets straight into enemy hands.
Who could I believe? Lucien, can I speak to you alone for a moment? Petr and Livia exchanged worried glances before exiting my office.
What are you going to do, Mr. President?
Shit, this is a tough one. So, although I doubt Lucien is the spy, it would also make the most sense for him to be the spy. But on the other hand, like, everything Lucien's doing is trying to help, like, keep us in power. So it seems unlikely that he's the spy here. So we're gonna believe him. I believe you. We should investigate Livia. Lucien breathed a sigh of relief.
I appreciate your trust in me. And Mr. Vector, what we do is willing to compromise sword and security at the drop of a pencil skirt.
I'll decide that once we have the results.
Very well. Just keep in mind you may need him to shoulder the blame for this.
Lucien adjusted his tie.
I'll apologize to Miss Suno and tell her it's all been a misunderstanding. We can't have her running away during the investigation.
No, I'll do it myself. She's too suspicious of you.
Very well, sir.
Lucien gave a slight bow as he left the office. I sat by myself for a while, wondering what exactly I had set into motion. No kidding. Okay, so it looks like we're just jumping right back into here. Results of the affair scandal. Nice, okay. Several days had passed since I ordered the investigation into my secretary, Livia Suno. Both Peter and Livia had been acting unnaturally nice to me, believing I'd let them off the hook for their affair. They seemed to be avoiding each other in the hallways, though. I was just settling in behind my desk when Lucy knocked on my door.
Sir, a moment of your time.
Yeah, of course. Lucian entered my office, closed the door behind him.
Our security team traveled to Lockhaven to speak to the owners of the pub Miss Suno named. They confirmed that one Olivia Suno had worked there. Their description of her did not match that of your secretary. However, it did match that of an unidentified corpse that washed up in Lenkirk Bay 2 months before your inauguration.
Are you sure about this?
Here, it's all in the report from our intelligence officers. Further investigation by our Opta and Robert matched Miss Suno's description to a woman named Ilana Vance, last seen graduating from Crimsrad Political Sciences Institute. Our whistleblower from Nürnberg recognized the name Vance as belonging to a deeply embedded covert agent, although he had previously assumed it was a man.
How could we have missed all this?
As mentioned, Miss Suno was hired without a background check. It's possible this all could have been avoided had any of Mr. Vectron's blood flow been directed to his brain when we selected her. But none of that can be helped now. Question is, what are you going to do, sir?
What do you think I should do? Yeah, I mean, arresting her seems like a good plan, but at the same time, couldn't we feed her false information? I don't know.
The standard procedure would be to try Miss Suno for espionage. If we do so, it's only a matter of time before the meeting pieces together what happened.
I'll look like a fool for having her under my nose this entire time.
That's why you must let Mr. Vector take the fall.
I know his actions were problematic.
Problematic is an understatement. Mr. Vector put you in danger by failing to order a background check on your closest personal staff. He betrayed your confidence to a woman with whom he was committing adultery. Anton, would you do the same to your so-called best friend?
I don't know. I can't put myself in his shoes.
Try guzzling half a bottle of whiskey. That might help.
Lucian sighed.
I am your chief strategist. I have advised you on what I believe is the best strategy, but of course the ultimate decision is yours.
Boy, okay. Man, this is just a episode full of hard decisions here. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Peter's not really a scapegoat. I mean, like, he hired her without performing a background check. So that it's not scapegoating him. He's definitely responsible for it, whether he meant to or not. Question is, what are we, like, throwing him under the bus for? Jeez. Okay, Yeah, I'm not gonna throw Peter under the bus. At least not publicly. Internally, we'll probably have to punish him somehow, but we're just going for this one. I'll blame Ilana, and nobody else. Lucian looked as if he were about to object one last time, but instead smiled thinly.
Very well. I shall consult the Reverend Mr. Cronty and write a statement for you to read at the press conference. I'll leave you to handle Miss Vance.
With pleasure. Lucian nodded and walked out. I called Carl Greiser from my desk and explained the situation. After a few minutes, I rang for Livia. She entered my office. Is there something you need, Mr. President? Please, sit down. A barely perceptible flash of fear crossed her face. She sat. Why did you call me in here, sir? I nodded towards my office doorway. Carl Greiser was standing there along two of his guards, blocking the entrance. Ilana Vance, you're under arrest on suspicion of espionage. Please come with me. Her eyes darted around the room.
What the hell is going on? Mr. President, if you let Lucian get your head, I thought you were smarter than that.
You thought I wouldn't trust my closest advisor? You're the stupid one. Carlsman grabbed her arms and began dragging her out.
No, you can't do this to me.
Peter, hearing her cries, rushed out of his office.
Liv, what in the hell?
Anton, what's going on? Livia, tell Peter who you really are.
I won't say another word without my lawyer present.
She looked Peter square in the eye.
Except this, you're a sad old drunk and a lousy lay. Honestly, if I were a Rumbrick spy, I'd barely have to do a thing. To have sold them right for the taking.
She straightened up, ran a hand through her curls, and allowed Carl to lead her away. Peter sank to the floor in front of me.
Anton, what the hell just happened?
I'll tell you in my office. Feel free to take a moment first. Once Peter was in my office, I shut the door and explained everything Lucian told me about Livia.
And you believed him? Well, that is safe and sorry, especially after what she called me.
I mean, I don't think that was a lie. She's probably right.
At least we finally have this ordeal behind us. Let's get on with running the country, shall we?
Actually, I have to tell you something.
Yeah, what is it?
Lucian wanted you to resign, but I told him it's not happening. Peter looked up at me in surprise.
Really, Anton? That means a lot.
This is as much my fault as it is yours. The administration will take the hit.
Us. Wow, I can't believe you'd do that for me.
Gotta prepare for the press conference. I suggest you do the same.
Sure, of course. Can't believe I was so careless. It's gonna be a whole new me from now on, Anton, I promise.
I watched him leave. A whole new Peter. I hope he's right about that. Nice, okay. Country overview. Were national security breached? Yeah, that is definitely a red flag. Okay. So let's just continue on with this little storyline here and go to the press conference. It was the morning of Livia's trial, and hordes of reporters were gathered in front of the state courthouse. Peter, Lucian, and I stood by the entrance. Lucian helped break the news of my secretary's arrest. Now the media was beginning to question exactly how a Rumbrick agent had been able to infiltrate the Marine Palace. It was time for me to deliver an explanation. A podium with a bank of microphones awaited us on the courthouse steps. Peter looked uncertain. I had told him that I would be doing all the talking today.
Ronti's reporters will ask softball questions, but I'd still advise to keep your responses as brief as possible.
I nodded. Peter took a deep breath. Together, we stepped behind the podium. The reporters clustered around us and started shouting questions. Please settle down. Let's go with this one. As you're aware, a lot in advance, the Rumbrick spy opposed to my secretary is currently on trial for espionage. Rest assured, the traitor shall be brought to justice. However, the fact remains that she should never have been allowed to infiltrate our administration in the first place. I and Vice President Petr would like to take this opportunity to apologize for a disgraceful lack of oversight. The journalist gasped and murmured. Petr turned to face me, his mouth hanging open. Falling victim to seduction, Mr. Vectrin displayed a lapse in judgment, but as your president, I bear the brunt of the responsibility. I have failed in my duty to keep this country safe and secure. I hope I can regain your trust.
No, this isn't right.
Sweat was beading on Peter's brow. He grabbed the closest microphone.
Please, don't listen to President Ray. This is all my fault. I was drunk and reckless. I broke my marriage vows. My selfishness compromised the Reign administration all of Sodlin.
Tears began streaming down his face.
I have been a sorry excuse for a husband and a terrible vice president. I resign.
The crowd became even louder. I turned away from the microphones and looked at Peter.
You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. You'd never survive the charm otherwise, even with Marcel doing his best. And I owe you this much, after what I did. The porters were now waving for us. One woman in the front row looked particularly insistent. Mr. Vectran! I nodded at Petr to take a question. Are you implying that you and the covert agent posing as President Rain's secretary were engaged in intimate relations? Yes, and it wasn't the only such affair. I abused my power as vice president to take advantage of multiple young women. I deeply regret my behaviour, although I recognise that will never change what they went through. Evelyn, if you're watching this, I don't expect you to ever forgive me. Just know that I'm sorry. Mr. President, were you aware of these affairs that are happening? I had suspicions. Lucy interjected. Ah, damn it, that's what I meant to click. Oh well.
Neither the President nor the Vice President were taking any more questions. Thank you.
The porters reluctantly dispersed. Lucy and Petr and I looked at each other for what seemed like an eternity. Finally, Petr lowered his eyes. I guess I'll go to the palace and start packing my things then. I'll come with you. Thanks, but I think I need some time alone. Watched him descend the courthouse steps to his car.
Mr. Vectran certainly made a scene, but it appears you'll make it out of this unscathed. Of course, there's now the matter of replacing both your secretary and your vice presidents.
I have a few candidates in mind.
Very good, sir.
We walked back up the stairs to the courthouse, watched the rest of the trial. Okay, well, knowing what happened there, I kind of feel like a bit of an idiot. Like back when we were trying to make negotiations to get support for our constitutional reforms, that I told that other guy to like fuck off when he wanted the vice president's position. So maybe I should have supported that guy to be my new vice president, and we could have got our reforms passed. Oh well. It's alright, live and learn, right? Nice. Okay, well. Take a look here. Yeah, new vice president and women's rights situation. So those sound like a really good place to start off next time. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you all next time.